Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Dee-Brief with Dr. D. I'm Dr. D, and I am your host. And this episode is a little different. You have me, just me. And, I want to spend some very intimate time talking to people that, like me, are grieving during the holidays. And the holidays is a time that's a little different, right? Because, the calendar says that it's a time of joy and gratitude. And we look outside the festivities, all the things that are signifying or a symbolism of joy. But you may not align with that right now for various reasons. We're grieving during the holidays. We're thinking about our loved one who's not there, or the thing that is no longer a part of us, or the tradition that we no longer have. And I want to spend some time speaking to your heart because I understand, right? I've been there, not just from a grief perspective of loss of life, but just loss of different things, transition, evolution of changes. And that can be different for some people, and that can be difficult. I often say in my speeches and when I'm talking to people, my clients, that I didn't find grief. Grief found me. And grief found me in a very strong way, right? And it didn't find me at a convenient time in my life. Like, when is it convenient for grief to find you? It found me while I was leading, it found me while I was serving. It found me in my ministry. It found me in my marriage, in my parenting. And it found me just as being Dr. D. But I want to encourage you that we can get through our times of grief. We can have joy in the journey. And it's okay to go through your season of grief your way. I want to give you 3 tips, 3 tools, 3 strategies that you can use to get through this season with a little bit more comfort and a little bit more peace. How about that? I told you I was going to check on you soon, and I'm a woman of my word. So, tip number 1, I want you to feel free to honor your grief. Let your heart lead you, not the calendar, your heart. It's okay not to be okay. It's okay to say, you know what? I don't want to do this right now. I want to set a new tradition. It's okay to take a minute. You know, Oftentimes we sometimes try to avoid the conversation, to avoid, thinking about what's happening. It's okay to look at that picture. It's okay to light the candle. It's okay to tell a story. I was talking to my cousin the other day, um, and she thinks she's my mother's favorite niece. I'm not going to say anything about that because she's going to watch this. Love my cousin. Oh, she's my girl. And it's so funny because mommy used to do Thanksgiving. When I met my husband, it was already set in stone. Christmas was his mother's holiday, big holiday for her, for my mother-in-law, Thanksgiving for my mom. So my sister and I would always fight with, calling mommy on the phone the day before Thanksgiving or Thanksgiving morning. Mommy, I'm making this. Help me. I'm missing something. What do you do? How do you put this in here again? What do you add to this? And my cousin would do the same thing. So I would call, Sharon would call, and then mommy would say, I'm on the phone with Michelle. I got to call y'all back. You're on the phone with Michelle. You got to call us back. Where are your daughters? What are you telling Michelle? Look, give us your time. Because mommy, no matter what, she could help everybody and make everyone feel like they were special. And then I also remember, so my youngest son and I used to go over and, he would go over actually, and I think about it, and help mommy the night before Thanksgiving. But my father would help as well, help as much as he can, right? So Reverend Brown would be in the kitchen, and Daddy could cook, but Thanksgiving was mommy's thing. So Reverend Brown would go in the kitchen and he'd chopping up the onions, he's chopping up the celery. And I could hear mommy saying, Robbie, what are you doing? You're chopping it up too big. You're chopping up too small. He would say, Betty, what, tell me how you want it, because I'm obviously not doing it the right way. If my parents were alive, I looked up at their picture just now, they would be 80 years old and married for 40 years. What a love story. I have to come back on and tell that love story one day. Amazing to hear them. Robert Betty. My sister Sharon's another hilarious Thanksgiving story. So we would spend Thanksgiving morning watching March of the Wooden Soldiers. Um, and I don't know who else, I'm telling my age, 55, I don't mind. But my family, my children didn't understand. They would say, why are y'all watching this, Laurel and Hardy? What is this? But no matter what, we would spend Thanksgiving morning while we were cooking, watching March of the Wooden Soldiers. And we would call each other to make sure it's on, Darlene, Sharon, it's on. Are you watching it? Just to make sure we were tuned in every Thanksgiving morning. Another funny story about my sister is after dinner, right? Before we threw the kids in to clean up, right? We would separate the food. Mommy would say, Sharon, Darlene, get in the kitchen now and separate the food. Separating the food meant getting our Tupperware bowls to get the food that we wanted to take back home the next day. So I would make sure that I brought my Tupperware bowls with me when I got there. Sharon would bring her Tupperware bowls, but sometimes she would forget. But she lived in the next building, so she would just send my brother-in-law back to the house to get the Tupperware bowls. And by the time he came back, I had already started wrapping up my food to take back home. So we would fight. You took all the stuffing. You took all the mac and cheese. How do you leave me any left? And I'm like, look, I got here first. But then when it came to dessert, mommy, bless her soul, she always made a separate pie for each person. And all the kids, once they got older, they had a pie to take home. Little Kevin had a pie to take home. Jared had a pie. Tamika had a pie. Janae had a pie. I had a pie. Everyone had a pie. She would make peach cobbler. She would make banana pudding. She would make her own from scratch pound cake. And my husband loved the pound cake, and my brother-in-law just loved everything, but mostly the banana pudding. Even when mommy got sick and she was only able to make the dessert, and my sister and I had to make the full meal, what she completely trained us to do, it was amazing to see her still do that. So tip number 1 is tell the stories. Talk about your loved ones. Share the joy. Share the memories. It's okay to do that. Grief can suffer more when you hide it. But when you give it time to breathe, it comes to life and it can help in your healing process. Tip number 2 is ask yourself what you need today. Not what anyone else needs, what you need. A lot of times we focus on what the other person needs, and we're pouring from an empty cup, and we're giving and giving and giving, and we're suffocating. And we continue to follow those traditions of other people when it's something that we have kind of evolved from. In my first book from 2014, Freedom Positioning System, which became my signature framework, and I use it in my coaching and in my teaching and my curriculum with educators, there's a chapter on there about freedom from the opinion of others. So freeing yourself from doing what other people tell you you're supposed to do, what other people tell you is correct. That's not healing for you. If it's not something that you are aligned with anymore, if it's something that you've evolved from, it's okay. It's okay to change. It's okay to do what makes you happy and what makes you joyful and gives you peace. So tip number 2 is move forward and do what is right for you. Tip number 3, my last tip, is to do what gives you peace this week. So if you have to disappear for a minute, if you want to maybe do something different and, go out for Thanksgiving dinner, the restaurants are open. If you want to just stay around and go to the movies, do something fun and exciting, go away, go on a trip, maybe not this year, maybe next year, but it's not too late. You can still get a flight someplace if you try. I encourage you to think about your heart. to think about what you want and what will give you the peace you need at this time. You know, it's amazing how we hold up our grief and our healing process because we're trying to please other people. And a lot of times we don't even hear inside, we're not paying attention to our spirit and our soul telling us what we need to do for ourselves. So I want you to take a moment, close your eyes, and stop and listen to your soul. Listen to your heart and really hone and tune in to that still small voice that's saying, you know what? This year you don't really want to do what you normally do. It's okay to be different because you have to heal. You have to have joy. You have to move forward. You have to live in peace. Those are my 3 tips for you for this holiday season. I told you I would check on you. Remember, your loved ones can be your community. Your loved ones can be your strength. But I want you to focus on finding that strength within you to pull yourself out of the somberness. It's a time for joy. It's a time for peace. You can do it. You have it in you. And although grief is here, don't ignore it. You can have joy in it, but also find a way to utilize these strategies and others to breathe again. This is Dr. D. It's been great talking to you. I will see you soon. And if you need to contact us, you know how to reach us. This is the Dee-Brief with Dr. D, but you can email us at drddarlingwilliams.com. Dr. D at drdarlingwilliams.com. Take care. See you later.